want to be joined now here on Live Now with Dara Lind. She's with the American Immigration Council, and she joins us via Zoom. Dara, thanks so much for being with us here. I wanted to ask you as well, and you've been following this, you follow this so closely. Title 42 is ending May 11th. It's been mired in the courts. I don't think a lot of people ever thought it was going to finally end. Is this it, though? Will there be any legal challenges, you think, in the interim to keep it and have it still in place?
I mean, I am not in the business of, betting against whatever kind of appellate, convolutions that can still come up, because this case really has, it's lasted for as long as Title 42 has, and it's simultaneously been used to try to limit its impact and to force it to remain in effect. But the key thing that's changing on May 11th is that the official HHS emergency, which was the declaration that allowed the Title 42 state to remain in effect, is going to be rescinded. So the argument that the courts have bought into so far is that the HHS declaration was, that without ending the HHS declaration, you couldn't end Title 42, and so now that's going away. So while there could be something, it certainly seems that, unlike the last few efforts to end Title 42, which have kind of seemed a little bit sudden and unplanned, that there really is effort being put into preparing a response with the assumption that it's going to be done sometime around May 11th.
Yeah, now we know Title 42 basically expedited deportations in a rapid manner. If that's not in place, what are we to expect? Do migrants coming over and across the southern border, do they know what Title 42 is? Do they use it to their advantage? What's going on here?
So I don't want to seem really nitpicky here, but the distinction between deportations and what was happening under Title 42 is really important. Because what Title 42 did was allow the U.S. to expel people just back to Mexico, or in some cases back to their home countries, without formally deporting them, which is a legal process that carries consequences, especially if you're then caught coming back into the U.S. after deportation. So it allowed them to turn people around very quickly, but it also incentivized trying again, just like under the George W. Bush administration, what was called catch and release, just pushing people back to Mexico makes it that much easier for them to make another attempt. So what we've seen over the last few years has been these really surging numbers as people try to make it through without getting caught, and just get expelled back to Mexico in many cases if they are. So what the Biden administration is doing now is, or once Title 42 ends, will be reinstating traditional immigration law, which is if you're caught by a Border Patrol agent and you don't have an asylum claim, or your asylum claim has been deemed not strong enough to proceed, then you are deported, and that deportation carries those legal consequences with it.
Okay. No, the legal distinction is very important. Thank you for clarifying. So I want to talk to you, though, also about this announcement made yesterday by the State Department, by the Department of Homeland Security. The U.S. will now be opening centers, holding centers, from what I understand, both in Colombia and in Guatemala. Has the Biden administration seen success with some of these centers in other countries like those, like Mexico, in order for these migrants seeking asylum to wait there while their claims are adjudicated? Have we seen success in stemming the flows from that?
So the purpose of the centers that the U.S. is planning to open in Colombia and Guatemala is less for just holding people than it is for seeing if they have access to some kind of legal status in the, if they would be eligible for some kind of legal status in the U.S. Because the theory of the case here is that a lot of people who have family in the U.S. or who could have refugee claims, instead of getting a chance to make those claims, are going all the way up through South America, through the Darien Gap, through all of Central America and Mexico to finally get to the U.S., where they're then screened for asylum and turned back. So instead of the hope that the administration has is that if some of these people might be eligible for other forms of legal status, that they'll be able to go through that in a regular way without having to cross the border illegally and without having to make that whole journey. It's not something that has been exactly tried before. There is some, there's certainly some similarity with the way that the State Department already does refugee processing, which does rely on a lot of, regional centers, but state hasn't really seen Central America and Latin America more generally as a really important space to build infrastructure. So they're doing so now with the assumption that it's not only refugees, it's also potentially these people who have, you know, pathways through family or employment or some other way of getting to the U.S. legally.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see come May 11th, you know, what happens, and also whether or not there will be, you know, more of these, you know, processing centers abroad as well. Dara Lind with the American Immigration Council. We appreciate your time. We'll talk again.
Thank you.